Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has been sounding the alarm over the real state of our economy. And when I say the real state of our economy, I'm talking about how the economy is working for the vast majority of Americans. Now, he was warning about the negative impact of not passing another round of stimulus, which of course, there still isn't another round of stimulus. I checked the news today to see if there's any movement on it. And according to what Nancy Pelosi says, she and Mitch McConnell couldn't be further in what they want in regard to a stimulus. And so that's not good news. But I do want to hear a little bit of what Jerome Powell recently had to say about the state of the economy. Let's watch.
We're recovering, but to a different economy. And it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers who, as Andrew just mentioned, it's relatively low paid public facing workers in the service sector who are bearing the brunt. This is largely minorities and women, or skewed toward minorities and women, and relatively low paid. So those people are going to struggle to get back to work in their old jobs, or in many cases in new jobs. So, I think you'll see more telework. You'll see probably the acceleration of automation. All of that was in the process of happening, but you're going to see much more of it. And I guess that for me, the main takeaway from all of this is that even after the unemployment rate goes down and the economy is, and there's a vaccine, there's going to be probably a substantial group of workers who are going to need support as they find their way in the post-pandemic economy, because it's going to be different in some fundamental ways.
So I think he's absolutely right about that. And oftentimes when you hear these discussions about the economic recovery, what gets left out of the discussion is how this pandemic has permanently changed the economy, how it's permanently changed certain jobs. So the unemployment rate has gone down a little bit. So for instance, it was previously 7.9%, now it's 6.9%. And that's good news, but remember that percentage, that unemployment rate doesn't take into account the number of people who have just given up on finding work. And it also doesn't take into account the number of people who are underemployed, part-time workers and individuals who are struggling to find full-time work. But Ben, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because the reaction that we get from like Rahm Emanuel, who recently said in a CNBC interview, "Oh, let's just teach them how to code." He literally said that.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
That was a campaign killer for Hillary. I don't know why he repeated that, but anyway, go ahead.
It's the same thing with the liberal perspective towards NAFTA when all the factory jobs were sent overseas, right? We just pretty much said, well, we could just retool them. With all due respect, like when you're 50 years old, you don't have enough time to retool towards a level of stability, right? Asking someone to restart and relearn everything that they need to just survive at 50 is a slap in the face. And the fact of the matter is that I'm glad I heard him mention automation, because what we're experiencing right now is just a dry run for the grim reality of how many people will not have jobs because the economy has changed as a result of automation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve can, print and pump money into corporations that were negatively impacted by the pandemic. But the same the same action isn't being taken when it comes to average workers. So you see this weird situation where all of these like various companies are doing okay in the stock market, but the number of consumers who have disposable income, it gets less and less. There are people who still hadn't recovered from the 2008 recession. They were already at a significant disadvantage. And then you get hit with the pandemic. I don't think people understand. And when I say people, I'm mostly referring to most people in positions of power, understand the reality of the economic situation for the majority of Americans, how much they're struggling, how much they're finding difficulty, making ends meet. And when you have Jerome Powell, who isn't some leftist by any means, sounding the alarm on the real economy month after month, some action needs to be taken. And We'll see what happens in a Biden administration, but it really is important for people to organize and demand some real relief. What we've seen from Congress in regard to the stimulus has been absolutely shameful.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.